Hi, it's Amy T. Meyer, and I am with. Hi, I'm going to tell on myself. I thought I had already hit the live button and started. So, my friend Jennifer Miller, who is with us today, and she's going to share her story. She gets to share it, at least the beginning part, twice. Um, so, Jennifer, we'll start off with that question again. Why did you pick the service you picked? And for those who um, don't know, she picked the U.S. Army just like I did.
Hi. So yeah, I joined the Army because the Air Force wouldn't take me. uh, they thought I was a little bit overweight, and I was a tiny, like, scrawny little thing when I was 19. So I was very confused, and I kept I never thought about weight loss. I had no idea what to even do because it wasn't something I had to worry about. And so I was like very confused. And so I went over to the Army, and the Army was like, "What? You're totally fine. We'll take you." So I was like, "Awesome, let's go." So that was why I chose the Army.
I think that's a great reason. To me, I had always thought that all the service would be the same. And after I got out of the Army, I went into the Navy Reserves because I learned that I could weigh more in the Navy Reserves than I could in the Army, and it was fabulous. I always said, like, my entire time I was in the Army, I always had to have my body fat checked, and I always passed, but it was a big brouhaha every month, having to be weighed and measured and all those great things. And in the Navy, I just made weight. And so I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. You don't need to check this. And it was, so it didn't even, here again, it's surprising to me to learn that the Air Force was more stringent. But you had a reason that you thought the Air Force was more stringent?
I was told it is because they don't focus a whole lot on PT. So they wanted you already fit, and they wanted you to be able to stay fit on your own. And so they had much tighter weight restrictions. But I was, again, I was tiny. So I was very confused. That was the first time anybody had ever called me fat in my whole life.
Well, I also wonder if that has, like I've talked with my dad, like if they didn't need women right then, those particular recruiters,
Oh, yeah.
then they could be less gracious with anybody outside of the box that they weren't trying to fill.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Because my dad is a Marine, and so of course he wanted me to go to the Marines. And when I went to that recruiting office, they're like, "Women, huh, that's interesting. Really, we don't need you." And so that was it. Like, there was no follow up conversation, no anything. But anytime I went to the Army, I'd come home and there'd be a new Marine Corps poster on my bed.
Oh,
And so he just really wanted that
oh,
path for me, which was fine.
gotcha.
He's gotten over it.
I told my grandfather that I had joined the Army, and he was like, "Why didn't you join the Marines?" Because he was a Marine. But yeah.
Yep, it's the same. But it's, you know, um, then what did you do in the Army?
I was a 63 Bravo. It was a little bit different then than it is now, I hear, but it was a light wheeled vehicle mechanic. So I worked on Humvees, 5 tons, and I think they were called LMTVs. Yeah.
Okay. Do you still use that knowledge? Like, do you ever get under your car hood and go, "This is why this is working this way," or?
Less and less over the years, because that's definitely perishable knowledge, but I still am really good at changing tires. And I got to teach a young man a couple weeks ago how to change his tire. So, yeah, I do.
Very good. Now, when you transitioned, did you feel there was transition services that you took advantage of, or there isn't anything for you when you got out? How do you think that went?
So I got medically discharged. My body was very, very uncooperative with me. And like I wanted to be a full time, like life career Army, and my body was like, no. And so the VA pretty much helped me transition out, and I went through voc rehab, and it was a great experience for me. Yeah, there was really no problems.
I think that's exciting to hear because that's not been a lot of people's experiences. So it's nice when you hear something different.
Yeah.
Now, do you use anything today that you learned in the military?
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of things. Silly things, like I still hold everything in my left hand so I can have my right hand free to salute, and I haven't been for 20 years. But like on a serious note, like I think just service and the idea of giving to help others. That's the main reason why I joined the military in the first place, and so I feel like that stuck with me. And the military is really good with structure, and so it helps me in some ways. It kind of helps me structure like my day-to-day stuff. So sometimes I miss that built-in structure, so I didn't have to think about it. But yeah.
Cool. Is there anything that you leave behind from the military? Like Ed always says, he left the 24-hour clock behind. Now it's 3:41. It's not 15:41.
I walk on the grass. I don't know if that's still a thing, but back in my day, you weren't allowed to walk on the grass. That's a good question. I think the formality, like I really didn't like the formality and not being able to just talk to people because you had to worry about rank and all that stuff. Like, I think I leave all that behind. Just being able to share and communicate with other humans without the hierarchy,
Very good. Do you think, since you've left the military, have you gotten involved in military things like Team RWB or Wear Blue or joined your Legion, VFW, things like that?
After I left, so at first, after I left the military, I was still married to a soldier. And so I was part of the FRG. I became active in various levels in various FRGs at different duty stations. And then it got to a point where I was kind of done, and he was still in, but I kind of transitioned I just transitioned myself out of the military sphere altogether. But then back in 2017, I became the managing editor of a literary journal called Collateral Journal. And this journal, it's poetry, fiction, nonfiction, and visual arts that explore the impact of military service and violent conflict outside the combat zone. So not the war story, but everything else around it. And I've been doing that since, I think, February of 2017. And we are about to launch another issue here soon. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Did I know that? Did you tell me about that before?
I've posted it on Facebook. I don't know. I don't know if we've had a conversation about that or not, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what have you found working with that group or editing? What has been your biggest takeaway from that? Because that's really interesting.
Like, even people who have never served in the military or has been a dependent or a family member of the military, being at war basically for the last 20 years or however long, we all, like, regular everyday civilians that have nothing to do with the military still have war trauma, still have been impacted in some way, shape, or form from our country being at war for so long. And so there's a lot of, I have a lot more compassion compassion's easy for me anyway, but I have a lot more compassion for just everybody from all walks of life when it comes to the impact of like war and military service and whatnot, because there's a lot of pain out there and people write beautifully about it. So yeah.
Well, I think that is true. I think I was involved in a thing years ago, maybe closer to 20 years ago, that was all as an alternative to violence, but it was more of actually an inner city program. And I think there's, just a lot there to unpack, because I think art is such a great um, medium for expression, right?
Yeah.
For whatever things are going through. So, um, tell us a little bit more about like who gets involved. Just it's kind of sounds like everybody, but maybe not.
Most of the stuff that we get in is from either veterans or current active duty, or family members,
Nice.
dependents or parents, or that's the, I think, from what I've seen. I don't read the submissions, I deal with the website, but from what I've gathered, like that's who submits the most often, because that's who hears the message of collateral, right? Because you're already in military circles somehow, and so you hear about collateral journal through other spheres that are military centered. I lost track of your question.
So I was so you were saying, you were sharing who um, contributes the most.
Yeah.
And you were saying active duty is what it sounded like you were getting to.
Yeah, active duty and family members usually are more often, and not just from our country. Like we accept it from anywhere. It could be from anywhere. One of our visual artists, I'm going to have a brain fart right now. He's from the Middle East. We're just going to say that. And he has stunning artwork on the impact of violent conflict. So it's mostly United States based, but we do take from everywhere. So.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I have, I like to feel like and believe I have friends from everywhere. And so I think that's a wonderful thing. I'll reach out after this is done. And when Ed puts us on all the magic places that Ed has helping the brave on, he can add links to different things. And so we'll add a link to the website, so that if, we can connect more people and different things to you guys, if we could do that, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, that's great. That'd be fantastic.
So is that the only entrance into the veteran space in our area that you have? Just out of curiosity.
Currently, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Let me think. So now, why do you think any of the other service organizations that are just, like I said, like the American Legion, the VFW, Team RWB, are those not maybe appealing to you?
I haven't needed anything recently. Like I've been pretty good, and so like I haven't felt the need to reach out to any programs. I'm still covered by military insurance, so like mental health care, I was being seen on post until we switched to the off post option, and but my mental health has been absolutely amazing last couple of years. So I just haven't really needed anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it. Just because I always say it feels like the guys always go, like they immediately plug in to the parts and pieces that is the veteran community in the away from the military. But I don't feel like oftentimes women do. Like I've gone to different meetings or whatever, and I'm either the woman or there's one other.
Oh wow.
And so there's a lot of speculation on why women don't identify or participate in different organizations. So that's why I was just trying to kind of drill down a little bit in your thought process, just to see,
Gotcha.
if you had a theory on it or not.
So I think part of it was that, like, so I got out at the end of 1999 through medical, and but my husband was still in, and then a year and a half later 9/11 happened, and so our entire, like, his entire service was 9/11, like a couple years before, and then all the deployments and the chaos of that life, right? And so, like I said, there was a certain point where I kind of withdrew completely from the military sphere. I stopped going to FRG meetings. Like, I needed to be in a different space that wasn't military. I had so much trauma from various different things that I got to a point where I had to push it over here. Like, I just couldn't be a part of it anymore. And then he retired and we separated, and I've just been in other spaces. So I think
I think all of that is great. Like, I don't want to push an agenda or go down it's just, just curious, trying to figure out, like, because like we said, why we do this is the silos of information.
Yep.
And just the different, how we even view service to our country, like how some people just see it so differently than others, and being able to have conversations, just woman veteran to woman veteran about, different things that are within our environment. And so it's like I said, so it's not, there's no agenda to the questions.
Gotcha. It's good.
But I will say, for those of you who don't know, FRG is Family Readiness Group, which is military tried to create sort of like that social network for getting information out to spouses, especially when deployments happen. And at Joint Base Lewis McChord specifically, when 9/11 happened, they had, you would have maybe like a spouses club, but you didn't have what spouses needed for. So you must have been in the beginning when they were trying to figure out how even to create the wheel, to stand up an FRG, and why you would need it and what the commander's intent for the group is and all that kind of stuff. And so it makes sense to need to separate. It makes sense to need to separate from the military for so many different reasons, and mental health is a great reason, is it? And as we normalize mental health, I think it's important to note that there are just so many different pathways. I was going to say something else. So let me think. So the veteran service organizations, to me, was funny. Like, I got involved in the ones that I got involved with because I thought they were fun, like and impactful, like Wear Blue, Run to Remember, or hey, we're going to go on this hike, Team Red, White, and Blue, or, I was less, I went to the traditional old school ones through my work. So it wasn't so I never had done it at all as a civilian, just out of the military.
Gotcha.
So, so that's similar. And we both kind of went into arts, and but a little bit different. So, what are you doing now, other than with and I'm having a yes.
So I'm like, I was for Collateral Journal, I'm the managing editor. So I make the website beautiful. And then for work, for a job, I'm a professional photographer, and I recently became a traveling full-time photographer. I'm actually in my van right now that was converted into a camper. And I'm also an energy worker. I do energy healings as well. And so I combine the two together for a very empowering session to help you see yourself as a goddess if you're a woman, a god if you're a man, to really feel your power and to know that you are worthy and worth it. So I do that by helping you clean up some energy, some and then do the whatever style of photography that you like. So if you want boudoir, great. If you want just branding for your business, great. If you just want, I just want a photo shoot to have a photo shoot and we can play around and do all kinds of things, great. And then, but I combine both things to kind of really give that person a long lasting boost to self-worth and self-confidence. So
That's neat. So you travel just around Washington State or travel to different states?
Right now I'm still in Washington and Oregon. I'm bouncing between Portland and Seattle right now, or Tacoma area right now, because I have family. I grew up near Portland, and the house I still co-own with my ex, and my kids are still in this area. So as soon as I can get all my stuff arranged, and I will be all over the place. So it looks like mid-October I'll be heading out somewhere. I have no idea where.
I would suggest somewhere warm.
Yeah.
You know, cold photos could be a thing, but it could be cold.
Yeah.
So I have another friend who also did photography, but with military service. And so she did some really neat pictures. That was, you might know her. Her name is Jennifer as well. But she got stationed out on the East Coast. But have you ever done, so you're doing pictures right now to kind of deal with self-worth, right?
Yeah.
So
Mostly. I'm doing a family session this weekend in Portland. So
once October comes and you, but you don't know where you're going to go, like where you'll be in December, say.
December, I'm actually planning on coming back here, at least for a part of it, for the holidays, because again, my kids are still in this area. But no, I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to do some more training with that energy work I was telling you about in Toronto in November. And so I have a feeling I'm just going to kind of head east and then start making my way north up to Toronto to be there by the beginning of November. So I think that's how I'm going to do it, but I don't know yet.
Well, it sounds very exciting. Let me think. Do you think going forward, thinking, you know, like everybody asks, like if you spoke to your younger self, but even speaking to a young female or just a young service member who is transitioning out, do you have any advice for them?
Yes. I think anybody, I would say, believe in yourself, and like, if you don't already have like a strong sense of self-worth, like do what you can to find it. And whether that's therapy or whatever you find that will harness that sense of self-worth. Like, I would say heal all of your stuff so that you can go forward in a healthy place and interact with the world from a healthy place. And you'll just make so much better decisions. So I think healing is always going to be my number one advice for anybody. And just believe in yourself, or find a way to get to that point where you can believe in yourself. Like, that sounds kind of cliche, I think, but like, it's vital.
Well, and I think it's like I was talking with another girlfriend who's actually a lawyer, and I always said that I felt like I had really good self worth. Like I have parents that have always loved me. And even though we've had different things, I came with that piece. I have not always had self esteem. So
Mm-hmm.
I've never been that person that could wear a mini skirt or, super tight clothing and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And so those have always looked really different to me, but some people kind of pair them together.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, like when you talk about self worth, what does that really mean to you?
So for self worth, for me, the stuff that I over the last couple of years have been healing a lot of is that I am worthy of love. I'm worthy of friendship. I'm worthy of abundance, whether that be monetary or health or whatever. Like I am like there's nothing inherently wrong about me that I don't deserve these things. And I'm allowed to take up space. I deserve to take up space on this planet, whether I'm a skinny mini or like right now I'm a bigger weight right now. And that doesn't make me less worthy of respect, of honor, of anything, right? So I think self-esteem for me, I've gone up and down throughout the years. I was a pretty skinny child. Um, so I got lots of positive feedback about my looks growing up. Um, so self-esteem was pretty high, but I still had a really terrible self-worth. So yeah, like, I don't think I've ever thought about the way you just said that. So that's very fascinating. Um, Self-worth, I was always the weird kid. I wasn't doing the thing everybody else was doing. We were poor, so we didn't have all the stuff that other people had, and so I was like picked on a lot in school, and just people were not nice to me, and so I grew up with this idea that I wasn't worthy of anything good. And so when I wasn't getting good, or I wasn't striving for it, or I wasn't allowing myself to have these good things, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Sorry. I mean, that's why. And so over the last 2 years, I've really come into the knowledge that I've got stuff to work on. We all do, right? But I'm still very worthy of love and abundance, and go get it. Like if you want it, go get it. Not at the expense of other people, of course, but like reach for your goals. You don't have to put up with people not treating you right. I don't know
Yeah, no, I
if
think
I'm making
that's,
sense.
yeah, no, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And so, and it could be, world according to Amy. These are my definitions because literally, I want to say my girlfriend that I shared it with, she's like, I have never heard of it that way. So I have to, this might be the way it works for me.
Yeah.
But because I do see those as so different, I always say that in the veteran service space, I actually didn't know I was not worthy until I was told I was not worthy by a general because I'm not an officer, an officer's wife. And
Yeah.
I, and so I had to navigate in those spaces differently, but I didn't believe them
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
my mom and dad told me I was loved and, I am worthy and I can do anything I want to do.
Yeah.
So the general so and so, his narrative wasn't ever my narrative,
Yeah.
you know.
That makes sense.
And so, and in a way, you think about it. I have a toddler brain, you know. Nope, my mommy said that I'm worthy. So next thing we
That's
can
great.
talk about. But I think, but I do feel like all this work, we have to figure out how to utilize all the things that are available to us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing us with us kind of your story and what you're doing. I think it sounds incredibly exciting. And I love watching you on Facebook. I did not know that you were the what's the word again? I want to say
Managing editor.
managing editor. It's very similar. I always like to give people, additional titles. The managing editor, I'm definitely going to look into that because I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And so I just want to thank you for your service and thank you for coming on. Is there anything else you want to say?
I don't know. I think I'm good.
Okay, well,
That's
stick
good.
with me.
Okay.